This is how you come down. Back in the cave, back in civilizations, so to speak. The old adventure dog and I, we went to a place where I knew there was another real big buck hanging around for the past few years. I went to look for him, see if maybe we could find his antlers, and we definitely found his secret little breeding room for November. He had so much. Every single chunk of willow or anything in about a 500-yard swath was annihilated from his antlers in the rut. So I'll be throwing down some trail cameras there to at least get some photos of him this fall. I have one photo of him already. He's a very big blacktail deer. For anybody who's a hunter, he's probably about 145-inch blacktail. That's a really big buck. And on that note, I put a poll on YouTube last night, and there's a deer out the window. I hope the dog doesn't see it. And I put a poll on. I was curious as to how many people here were actual hunters now, because I don't have a clue who follows the channel. I don't have a clue who, like, what people do, who they really are. Really, I have never really looked into it, but I do know in the beginning when I first started speaking about this topic publicly, with absolute confidence, I had a couple emails from absolute wingnuts, hunters, saying they're disgusted, can't believe I'm doing this, and them, and I'll quote, "Me and my friends are not going to follow you at all anymore. We're disgusted." Like, whatever, ramming up your ass. It's not like I asked for that to happen that day, and comments from people like that in that case and others are not going to change what happened. It's not possible. So it's the truth, and there's nothing I can do to get out of it, and I'm not going to sway from it. But anyway, aside from that wasn't the point of getting out. But I was curious for this channel, and as you know, I did make the other How to Hunt channel, so I could put all the hunting content and angling content that I create and come across on that channel for all of the hunters who didn't want anything to do with this topic, which is fine. And I don't push this topic on anyone. I've never asked anybody to subscribe to this channel once or share it or do anything. The door's wide open. You want to come in and learn? Come on in and learn. If not, see you. But I've never promoted this channel in any way. But I was wondering, getting back to the point I was making, I was wondering how many of my original group of hunters went, "Oh God, you ruined this place, we're out of here." I've never really thought about that much. I just thought about it recently. I don't know why, but it's like, I wonder how many people here are actual hunters are here. So I was surprised to see that it's over 60-something% was either of you are either a hunter or used to hunt. So I'm imagining the used to hunts or possibly retirees or whatever. Either way, you hunted in the past, so that makes you a hunter to me. So it's over 65%. I was kind of surprised. I thought it was going to be quite lower since this has been going on for quite some time, sharing this truth. Because like a friend of mine, do you remember my friend? I think it was last fall, we sat on his porch of his remote cabin, not too far from Jasper, Alberta. And he's the same thing, extreme outdoors hunter. Basically, we're chipped off the same loaf of bread. And he shared his two experiences, finding tracks and smelling something as well and being absolutely terrified, yada, yada, yada. And then later on, months later, he told me that he ran into some of the guys in his neighborhood, which is near Salmon Arm, full-on hunters, and they were laughing at him. "You don't really believe in that bullshit, do you?" Right? And automatically went to humiliating him, attempting to. So that made me wonder, well, I wonder how many hunters are here. So anyways, I'm glad to see that the majority of people are hunters here. Not because it doesn't matter to me what you do or do not do, but it just shows me that in a way we are somewhat winning when it comes to sharing the knowledge and having people being interested in the truth. That's a good thing, because I had a funny feeling that the hunter crowd would have possibly been the toughest nut to crack. Maybe. only because the majority of the hunters that I know are very A-type and kind of somewhat guarded, and they're ready to jump on each other and humiliate each other at any time in a way, fun way, but in a way, right? The majority of the hunters that I know, I don't even bring this topic up with them unless they want to bring it up with me, because I know the majority that I know don't entertain these facts as facts. Anyway, I'm babbling. That's what I was getting at with the poll, and I'm surprised to see. But it's a good thing to see, because I think that's the toughest crowd to crack. And so I'm glad, even though a lot of you are possibly sitting here quiet in the background, I don't care. As long as you're here learning the truth. That's all I'm about. Just stay here, learn the truth, and learn what to know, what to do when you come across the same patterns, some of the same patterns that these tens of thousands of people are coming across, all right? It's a great thing. Sorry about the babble, I hope it made sense. It's absolutely pouring rain out, which is killing my steelhead craving. And there's too much snow where I was to get to where I really wanted to go. And the weather got really snotty, so we did 3 days straight of sweating it up in some other spots, and then decided it's probably best to come home. So here we are. Now, hey Steve, my name's Stu. I'm from the southwest of the UK. I've been watching your channels right from the start. I've always had an interest in Sasquatch since I was a kid. I'm 43 now with a shit nerve disease that is slowly putting me out of action. That sucks, man. Sorry to hear that. But anyway, that's not why I emailed. I was watching your latest video on How to Hunt channel and noticed something dark behind you, so I took a few pics. I know what you think of pics, lol. Anyway, it looks to me like something sat watching you. I'll attach the pics for you and the rest of the group to see. Keep up the great work you're doing over the pond, my friend. Many kind regards, Stu. There's the screenshot. Maybe. I don't know. Share 'em. Consider it shared, man. Thanks for the effort. Thanks for the share. I do know that these beings are there. When? I don't know, but I do know they're there. And that's where I caught the photo myself of that perfect head in the willow above the bear. And it's funny, even then I had somebody send out a snarling email saying something like, oh yeah, you didn't go stand there yourself. What are you, better than us? Or something like that. And it's funny how many people, any chance they get to be angry, but probably not just me, but anybody online, they leap at it. But I did take pictures of that spot over the bear. After I took a picture of the bear, I saw that shape, zoomed in on it. And then I went back in the winter when there was no leaves on those bushes at all, took another picture. Nope, there's no stumps in there at all. But at the time, well, I couldn't go over there because it was on the other side of the river. There's a deep hole there, and I wasn't prepared with anything to get across the river. Otherwise I would have. And I have done pictures in the past of myself standing where something else was. But anyway, rambling. This is where I had that photo as well. Photos are what they are, is what it is. And also, as I have been sitting there on my quad, I've been pelted with stuff from the bushes. You guys have seen it. There you go. So yeah, I'm not overly concerned about the picture myself. So thanks for sending it in, but I know they're there. When they're there, how often, I haven't a clue. Now, this next one is titled A Bizarre Sound and an Even More Bizarre Theory. Hi Steve, please don't use my name. Thanks for providing this platform for people to share their stories. I've never had a visual encounter, but last summer while camping up near Horn Lake, right over here, I heard a super loud scream/hoot at about 2:08 in the a.m. on my way back from the outhouse. I'd taken my giant dog with me. Didn't seem to bother him at all. It sounded about 100 meters away. Wow, that's close, and it didn't bother the dog. Weird. And didn't have that loud chest-shattering volume that so many people describe. I did do some looking into what it could be and ruled out any animal that lives around the area. So who knows? I also have a theory, about why the Sabe is here. Sabe, sorry, it's pronounced Sabe. It also explains the presence of other odd creatures on our planet. It came to me on a long walk the other day where I do my best thinking. The thought was sparked from something you mentioned in one of your videos about the future. Excuse me, I just had a big breakfast. Actual time travel is probably not too far in the distant future. What if the people that inhabit our world far in the future have created a species of, quote, man, end quote, that can survive apocalyptic events better than humans. They could have established their existence here. They could have established their existence here at whatever time in history. Like whenever the first sightings started showing up, they would know the path humanity takes as it will be their history. They'll be very invested in making sure some, quote, people, end quote, survive the collision course we are on. Assume they have the technology to send themselves, Dogman, Sabe, crafts, all back to our current time. They will need DNA to work on their creations, and they may even need to collect people to take back to the future. Haha, see what I did there? To assure they are creating what they need to ensure survival of their species. Missing 411, anyone? The light orbs. This is how they time travel using light. The range of odd creatures, perhaps failed attempts at creating a super creature to survive, or maybe they were created to keep one eye on the Sabe. Why now? Well, if our planet is headed to where it seems to be, they will have needed to have the Sabe established here for hundreds or thousands of years prior to the end. They may be working on adapting them to forests as a method of survival and needed time to do that. I challenge you to use this theory to explain anything surrounding these strange times. It works, right? Well, that is my puzzle completed. Way off base or not, that is the only explanation that works for me. Haha. Thanks for your time. Stay safe. Regards, Vancouver Island Outdoors person. All right. You never know. Who knows? But my thoughts instantly went to, well, if they could go to the future like that, and they're planning for the future of the dreaded outcome which we're inflicting now, and they outclass us physically so much, why wouldn't they just come back in time and annihilate the pricks that are about to annihilate the planet? Maybe. I don't know. That's what I would be doing. Maybe go fast forward. Holy shit, look what they did. Find out who exactly was responsible. Go back in time, clean them up. Go back in time to when those evil people were about to be conceived and stop it. I don't know, whatever, right? But you never know. You never know. Now, from the great north woods of Maine. Dear Steve and all the How to Hunt family, a little background. I bought a log cabin about an hour north of Bangor, Maine. Population about 6,000. I left a liberal state 2 years ago, and after COVID and having been told I had a mass in my right lung in December 2019, then all my appointments were canceled because of COVID. Right then and there, we decided to leave once I was through treatment. Thankfully, I'm still here. Right on. Double thank. Now we purchased this place 7 years ago. Since then, I have heard wood knocks, whoops, the Maine howler calls, etc. The one night I heard the samurai chatter at first, I thought it was the neighbors. So I chose to go in. Thought none of my business. Second night started again, and to my horror, after 20 minutes of me asking, is anyone out there? Hello? I just kept talking. Then it said, help me. I freaked and went inside. Now, Steve, this is the time to tell you. It was your show that helped me. I've heard at least 4 shows of others experiencing this behavior, and thank you. I know what I heard. So my second winter here, I'm going into town and I see these tracks. They are about 3.5 to 4 feet apart. I think they're intriguing, and I want to share them. There you go. Well, at first glance, it's they're all straight in line, cruising along, and definitely not a bounding animal. There's not. Yeah. Anyway, there you go. Those are your typical Sasquatch prints right there. There you go. Another club member reports in and shares. Thanks for the share. Keep watching, all right, and keep soaking up everybody's knowledge so that if in case something goes a little off or sour around your place, you can somewhat deal with it, right? Then at least you can share with your family, your friends, coworkers, whoever, the truth if shit starts to fly around there a little more heavier, right? Don't be scared to talk openly about it. Don't be scared of the truth, all right? Don't let anybody stop you from sharing truth. You didn't ask for this, right? But it's happening. You didn't make it up. So make sure you speak openly about it. Okay, here's another one titled WTF question mark. You see, my name is Amber Watley. My family and I live in Tuscaloosa County, Alabama. Spent much time there. Favorite store is Woods and Water. You can say my name. I'm not afraid of what people will think of me. My husband and I were driving down the road we live on, heading to the Christmas parade with our 2 daughters in the car. I asked Larry, my husband, what was that in the sky? He hurried to a spot where we could pull over and get out to try to get some video. This is the only footage we could get. I know we were both filming on our phones, and for whatever reason, my video didn't take at all. It was a very cloudy and rainy night, and I'm not sure we didn't just happen to see something we weren't supposed to. My husband has been watching your channel for years. I'm pretty new to it, but I've really enjoyed hearing everyone's stories. Bought your book, and I gave it to my husband for a gift. He loved it. Keep fighting the good fight, and may God continue to bless you in all you do. And you too. Oh, there's a download attachment option here, so I hope I remember to, once I go inside the House of Chaos, because we have a niece, 2 dogs, and Sarah's mom, and everybody's in there, I'll remember to dig this up and have a look at it, share it. I appreciate you saying that in. I love your channel too. I miss it.
What is this thing? Damn it. What is that thing? Page. What is this thing right here? What is this thing right here?
This next one is titled, What Have I Learned? Theories, Experiences, and New Knowledge. Greetings, Steve. I nominate you for Humanitarian Man of the Year. Thank you. Hosting this platform for the general public to share and release thoughts and fears they have had bottled up inside them, in some cases, decades. You're providing a great service to the human population and have also relayed helpful information so we can better understand the ways of the Sabe. As for me, I could go on about my outdoor and world experiences, but that's not why I'm writing. First theory, why do Sabe throw things? They have lots of ways to scare the crap out of us, so why do they throw stuff? Is it a sure way of getting us out of the area, or just a game they're playing to amuse themselves? I could be wrong about this, but has anyone ever seen a Sabe throw something at them? How is it that they can throw trees and rocks of all sizes and never hit anyone? Major League pitchers train for years to throw an object the same size, weight, and shape at a set target and distance, but still can't hit it on a consistent basis. All the reports that you read of things being thrown in most cases are coming from unknown directions. So, getting right to the point, can Sabe propel any object they choose, near or far, to a point that they can see or they can project in their minds? Think about what it would take to throw a softball-sized rock weighing 10 pounds, say 40 yards at a man-sized target, sometimes coming very close but never hitting it on purpose. Second theory, are we overthinking the wet dog smell? As hunters, we know the wind is a major factor when it comes to smelling something that is unfamiliar to us. In the emails that you read, smell is not noticed when describing many encounters with these beings. So, could it be a simple case of bad personal hygiene? In 2 different emails you have read, there was one where a lady is sitting on a rock with a dog next to a stream and notices a terrible smell. Looking upstream, she sees a female Sabe. She makes note of the large breasts. Standing in the stream, holding something on her shoulder. It could have been an infant. The second email, I noticed a wet dog smell, and after a look around, found 2 piles of scat, one large and one very small, and made the comment, it could have been made by an infant. In these 2 cases, can we conclude that these 2 females with infants gave off an odor? I know this theory is kind of weak, but you can't disregard that bad personal hygiene could be a major factor for their odor. I'm sure there's some smelly males also out there running around. Unless I missed it, I haven't heard anything from the First Nations people about this subject. I guess we won't know until we can sit down with the Sabe and ask them. Third theory. We know the Sabe have great ventriloquist powers and can do amazing things with their voices. In several of the emails you've read, a person has locked eyes with the Sabe only to look away. When they look back, the Sabe is gone. Is this another game of the Sabe play with us, or is it their rule that they can't disappear when we're looking at them? I thought of that one too. Once you lock eyes on them, don't blink. Get your camera, get your buddy's attention, whatever. Something's going on with their eyes. Of course, I lost where I was. Using their voice talents to distract our view of them and then disappearing could be a possible explanation. In the early 70s, a friend of mine was hired to put a team together and try to find out if the Patterson-Gimlin film was real. And after receiving some information from my friend about their research, I was convinced these beings do exist. I've always had an interest in the unknown and wanted to do some of my own research. But about the same time I started working for the federal government, so I didn't have the time. More about that later. Fast forward to 2006. Retired from the government now, I had some spare time. Started looking for some info on the Sabe people. Found the Tennessee Bigfoot lady Mary Green. That's a good score, which the Owlman has made reference to in one of his emails. I spent a week with her and some other researchers running around the hills of Tennessee trying to find, the common term at the time, Bigfoot. I spent one night with Mary alone up on a bluff where she would let out her Bigfoot yells down into the valley and sit there and wait for a response. After several yells with no response, we were about to call it a night, and then the smell hit us. First time for me, so I didn't know what to think. The smell only lasted a few seconds, like something smelly had run right past us, then disappeared. A few more uneventful days and nights had gone by, and on the last night I was there, she got some of her researchers together, and we proceeded to travel to a hotspot for Bigfoot activity. There were 2 cars and about 6 of us that proceeded down a gravel road, back in a remote wooded area. When we got to the spot she was looking for, we stopped the cars, turned them around to face the way we came in. Everyone got out of the cars and we were standing around waiting for Mary to give us some understanding of what we were doing there. She no longer got two words out of her mouth when gravel from the road we were standing on started bouncing off the cars. We all just stood there and looked at each other, trying to figure out what was going on. After a few minutes of silence and more incoming gravel, Mary decided it was time to leave. I also met Janice Carter, whose family interacted with the Bigfoot clan at their farm in Tennessee for years. This is what I learned from her experiences. Not going into detail, but here it goes. They can make and mimic any animal sound. They can backtrack their steps to cover their track with branches. They live in caves, have their own language, had a dominant male and female in the clan. The male can mate with more than one female. They bathe by grabbing the sand from the bottom of the stream, rub it all over them, then rinse it off. They would kill livestock running after it on all fours, with their heels never hitting the ground. Grab the back leg, twist it up, and then break the animal's neck. Buried their dead in deep holes and stomped on the grave ground continuously with their feet, as one can assume, so no one would find the grave from the sunken ground. They bite their finger and toenails. One last thing, they smelled, but not all the time. What I find interesting is that with talking to both of these women, they never mentioned the Bigfoot disappearing or portals. Okay, now we go back to the 70s research team. I finally tracked down one of the team researchers who was living in Oregon. Here's the first thing he told me when it comes to a Sabe encounter. The stranger the encounter reported is the most believable. Steve, before I forgot, you had a question for the listeners and asked if we were learning anything. My answer to that is a big fat yes. Thanks again. Now back to the researcher. He has done years of interviews talking to different Indian elders. Some will not talk about this subject to a white man. Some elders believe the Sabe are always invisible, and sometimes we can see them. No explanation. Others believe they come from spaceships. He said you can put 10 Indians in a room and ask them a question about Sabe and get 12 answers. So, here is his summation of his findings. We're dealing with an invisible, telepathic, ventriloquistic Indian tribe of giants that defies all logic and understanding as we know it. Thank you, Steve. Got a few t-shirts from Sarah. I doubt if anyone in central Illinois will notice them. Your friend, RACE. Right on, man. I absolutely appreciate that email from you. Thank you. Those must have been some interesting times you spent there. Very interesting. And I'm definitely no expert. I'm soaking it all up just like you are and everybody else is here. But I am absolutely convinced that there are different species. There's different flavors of beings out there, without a doubt. And that's the confusing part. One thing for certain that I've learned for me at this point is anything is possible. For people to say something's impossible at this stage of the game, just take a look at yourself. We should be impossible. Everything around us should be impossible. But we're here, right? We are here, like the flick of a finger out of the middle of absolute nowhere, empty space. All of a sudden we're here, the water's running down the mountain, the fish are swimming, the deer jumping, and we're walking around, fighting with each other. But anyways, everything's incredible. This lifetime is absolutely freaking incredible. Isn't it? Think about it. It's absolutely incredible. There's so many secrets to be cracked open, so many mysteries. And so much of our existence has been such a big lie, and that's frustrating. I'm starting to get it, but it's very frustrating to know without a doubt how much of all of this is an absolute lie. It's very frustrating. But anyway, sorry I didn't mention the beginning. I've got so much racing in my crazy mind at any given time. Anyway, but I received an email from Melba Ketchum. Dr. Melba Ketchum emailed me while I was in the mountains. And I'm very, very, very slow at getting emails out. It really sucks. I've just got so much on the go. I'm ripping on nonstop. I haven't emailed Melba back yet. I'm sure she's listening right now. And also, Robert, you know who you are. I'll receive a couple great emails from you too, and I haven't had a chance to reply to you either. I'll do that when I go in, after I get this out. But anyway, Melba is asked to pass along a huge, huge, huge thank you to all of you. She's ecstatic, over the moon, with the help everyone here through her way to get these studies done. And from the email that she shared with me, I would strongly suggest to all those who donated, you have the option of obtaining an NDA from her, obviously just to protect her and her work. She's been somewhat screwed around in the past, right? We won't get into any details on it. None of my business. She also expressed to me her disdain for drama. She's not into drama, whether it's to support her or against her. She doesn't want anything to do with any drama. She's over it, quote, she's tired of the hate, end quote, all right? So we'll try to keep the focus on the good, the positive, the progress, and from what she shared with me in the email, I would strongly suggest to all you people who donated to the DNA study to get that form signed so you can get up to speed at what's going on. And I definitely will be too. And Melba shared with me she will be generously sharing her information, and believe me, it is substantial. I am very, very excited to hear back from Melba of what she has learned and is willing to generously share. And good for her for never giving up, not giving up, although she has been put through the ringer. And I'll respect her request to keep her as drama free as we can. Although, I will admit, I would love to, on my time, and nothing to do with Melba or anybody else, I would love to absolutely out the dark names that have played such a role in destroying people who are trying to bring you the truth. Taking in the testimonies of all of you who finally got up the guts and were brave enough to share, and they shut you down or changed your story or hid it from the public. That is such a violation in my eyes. But anyways, I know you might be listening, Melba, and I'm sorry. I'm not trying to get. This has nothing to do with you. But I just can't help it. I've had some very dark individuals brought into my life from a young age, and it cost a lot. And I only wish I knew then that I should have fought like a son of a bitch to make sure that all the bad that followed didn't come. So that's why I do like to, once I find out who a dirty, dark person is and the dirty, filthy things I've done to good people, and nobody's been able to protect anyone from them, well, I'd like to do it. I'd like to out them. And I believe we've done a fairly decent job at sharing with everyone who the culprits are when it comes to violating all of you and your truth. Anyway, I'm rambling. I shouldn't be talking about that. I should talk about Melba. Anyways, Melba, you may hear this before I email you back, but I'll be emailing you back hopefully by this evening. And thank you so much for doing what you're doing and not giving up and not giving in to being suppressed and being stubborn and getting it done. I'm excited. I'm actually absolutely excited and eager to soak up all your knowledge. And I'm sure everyone else is here too. And Melba also passed on that the $20,000 price tag they had on their study was the bare minimum. It's just the bare minimum what they needed to get this, what they had done. And she said that anything over that was donated by all of you of the 20 will go into more research of even more cryptid items they have. And that is the word from the boss. All right? So you guys know, huge, huge, huge thank you. She is absolutely ecstatic, floating on cloud 9 because of all the help that you guys threw her way. And that's really good to read that, see that. And any more help that you guys decide to throw your way, all goes into research to find out more truth for all of us. There you go. Very exciting times. Very exciting times, but on a side note, if you come across someone who is trying to stop this, do everything you can to expose them. Tell me all about it, and I'll do my best to fight back. All right? I'm here to fight. Sorry, somebody has to fight. I'm here to fight. So, we have people coming in to try to stop, harass, block. We're going to fight, and they're going to lose. There you go. Bigfoot knocks mobile home off foundation. Well, that's not very nice, is it? Hello, Steve. My name is Brian Gibbons, and I live in Northeast Tennessee. I live where Tennessee, Kentucky, and Virginia all three meet. I'm 5 minutes from Virginia and about 5 minutes from Kentucky. Where I live is very mountainous and rugged with several cliffs, deep hollows, and many miles of untouched forest. I grew up hunting and fishing and competition coon hunted with hounds for years. I've hunted all over the U.S. and have never saw one of these creatures, Bigfoot. However, I've recently found footprints, and I've heard what I'm most certain was one of these doubles. About a year ago, I was attending a little get-together at a friend of mine's house. While talking with several of my friends, a couple of ladies walked in that I didn't know. My friend introduced us, and we all started back talking again, but now with a couple of real nice elderly ladies. I'm kind of a talkative type person and can usually carry a conversation with anyone. So out of the blue I asked, has anyone ever seen a Bigfoot? And as quick as I did, one of the ladies said, yes, I've seen one of those bastards. It scared the crap out of me. I said, really? Tell me about it. She told me that she lives alone, way back in the mountains and in a single-wide mobile home. She told me that one night while watching television, that there was a loud, hard bang on the outside of her trailer. She had her curtains open, and although she lives miles from anyone, and on a dead-end gravel road, that she thought it was some young teens just being assholes and trying to scare her. So she hollered and said, stop, I have a shotgun and I'll use it if you don't knock it off. In just another few minutes, bam, it happened again. So she grabbed a shotgun and started toward the door. And that's when all hell broke loose. Bang, bang, thump. An extremely loud guttural growls that she had never heard before. Needless to say, my friend was shaken up pretty bad, and the only thing she knew to do was to turn out the lights. Strangely, this is when everything stopped. She knew that whatever had done this was not human, because when all hell broke loose, and she went to turn off the lights, she could tell that her trailer had been knocked off of its foundation. The next day she called the company she bought the trailer from, and they sent 3 men out to put it back on its foundation. After they had finished, she asked them to try to knock it back off the foundation, or at least see if they could move it. They couldn't budge it. After this happened, and we became more acquainted, she started telling me about other things that were happening. She said that she was hearing them scream at night. She began finding huge rocks, big twisted limbs, dead animals, and a lot of other things that you probably wouldn't believe. I decided to try and find her some professional help. She wouldn't, because she thought that if she told the authorities that they would put her in a nut house, as she called it. So I took on the task of finding someone. I contacted a very popular but very controversial person in the Bigfoot world, and he truly tried to help. But one of the things he wanted us to do was to offer them gifts. I sat down with her and discussed the plan, and in her sweet southern fashion she said, "Give them gifts? For knocking a damn trailer off its foundation? Hell no." I just laughed and said, "You know what, you're right. I don't like the idea either." So I contacted you, and you recommended Scott Carpenter. I eventually got a hold of Scott, and he gave me the best advice a person could get. And out of respect for Scott, I'll keep mine and his conversation between me and him. I'll happily share it if someone is having a problem with one of these things, but I won't share it in a public forum for obvious reasons. Thank you very much, Steve, for recommending Scott. He's a very good guy and very knowledgeable about these creatures. For those of you that think it's cool to offer them gifts, I can tell you firsthand, that's a very dangerous hobby you have. These things are not to be trusted. They have their hairpin tempers and will mess with you, just to be messing with you. I've never laid eyes on one of these devils, but I've heard them, seen their tracks, and have witnessed firsthand what they will do and can do when they are angry. Steve, I can't say enough about how much you're helping people by letting them vent through you by talking about their encounters. You're actually helping more than you know. God bless you. If you're ever in Tennessee, Kentucky, or Virginia, look me up. I'll buy you some toilet paper and some hand sanitizer. Thank God. Because you know what? When the world goes to a shit, if you don't have toilet paper, you're done. You're absolutely done. Anyway, that reminds me, maybe you're familiar, all of you might be familiar with a while back, there is a recording of a man on a phone, and he is freaking out on the phone, begging for help. Believe his 911 call, and something is beating the living shit out of his house. Same deal, a trailer, I believe, and knocked on his side even. And you can hear the noise in the background, and he was absolutely being tormented and terrified. Sounds familiar. It's endless, right? Yeah, I wouldn't advise gifting any of these creatures anything ever, myself. Only because of our lack of knowledge. You do not know what you're dealing with. That's all there's to it. And if you take into your average experience and how it makes a human feel, terror, right? It makes canines absolutely filled with terror. So, do you really want to spark up a relationship, a feeding time relationship with something like that without fully knowing what you're dealing with, right? Do you want to be absolutely associated as a food source to that being you know shit about? Think about it from that angle, right? Not me. Not me. Anyway, thanks for that share, man. I absolutely appreciate you and what you've done too. And you got anything else you want to share with the people that might help somebody? You know the routine, right? Now, let's do one more. And then I'm going to go in. It's raining, but I can still carry on with this project here and others inside here. A different Sasquatch story. My name is Amber, and I am an enrolled member of a federally recognized tribe. I remember hearing that for the first time. We might have read this. When a treaty is struck, we are allowed to hunt and gather within a certain boundary around a reservation. When this happened, I was young, around 5, but nearly 35 years later, after thinking that all I remembered was just a dream, my mom told me that our aunt had told her she'd seen it walking away. Now I know that which I remember is true. This is what happened. I think we read this. I'm going to read it again. I went blueberry picking with 2 of my great aunts and my cousin, who's just a year older than me. We went to where we call it the plains, on top of the nearest hill. We began to pick berries. I don't know how long we were there when I just felt odd. I stood up and looked around. I saw something, told my aunts that I was going to see the... I saw something and told my aunts that I was going to see the blueberry bush that was near a downed tree. I went around it, and it was squatting near the roots of the downed tree. I walked right up to him and offered him my berries in the bucket, and at this time it was standing and very tall. He reached into the bucket to grab some berries when I grabbed his hand and looked it over. It was black and leathery. I remember poking the palm and said it was just like ours. Now, when some say they are telepathic, and I must concur, because at this time he was kneeling, and in my head he asked where I lived. I didn't know, so he wanted me to try to remember the route we took. As I thought about it, he just knelt there. I remember him purring or cooing. My aunts hollered for me, and when I emerged from behind the downed tree, they asked where my bucket was, to which I replied that I gave it to the hairy man. My aunt, that was from White Earth Reservation, and know of Sasquatch, she walked around the tree where I had been and then came back and hurriedly packed up and left. When I got home, I told my gram, to which she said it was growling, not purring, and to not talk to strangers. Now, after this incident, my grandfather put up a fence and wouldn't let me leave the yard at all. There was this time where he showed up to where I lived, and to prove who he was, he showed how his hand was the same as mine. My grandfather ran out and tried to shoo it away. I was afraid for my grand. My cousins made fun of me because what I had explained about Sasquatch when the show with Jane Goodall on it about the gorillas they were studying. I said, that is what I seen, except it was tall. My cousin went on berating me, saying those were in Africa. The following week it was standing across the road from our house, and my cousin, who doubted, said, there, it's a monkey. My aunt called us all into the house right away and said to the others that it was someone in a suit going to a birthday party. But I insisted it was who I met on the hill. I'm 45 now, and after talking with my mother, I know now that it was real. For me, it seems that he was gentle and protective. If he is telepathic, then they know our hearts and minds before we enter into this abode that is the forest. Our teachings say that he was our older cousin who showed us how and what to harvest within the forest for food and medicines. He is the keeper of the forest, and all life within is what I understood. I must thank you for doing this, because most who have encounters are special in one way or another. And if your heart and mind is in the right place, they just may let you see them. You gave me courage to share this for others that have had an experience with this spirit being. Thank you. I didn't read this one before. Everyone's similar. Wow, that is one hell of an experience. Touched it. Crazy. Crazy, crazy. All right, one more. One more. It's so funny how these experiences vary, right? Isn't it weird? Some are friendly just like this. It's friendly. And others scare people so badly it absolutely annihilates their life. That deer is still out on that mound behind the room here. Anyway, one day I'm going to look out there and there's going to be a huge bear, guaranteed. Maybe even a cougar. Now, this is titled Sasquatch. Again, thank you so much for that share. I absolutely appreciate that email being sent in by you and the time it took. I'm getting rattling through these kind of quick and probably not saying as much as I should with each one. Sasquatch vocalizing on Indian Reserve. Hi Steve, how are you? I have a video that came into my hands from Fort St. John, Blueberry Band to be exact. The Sasquatch was vocalizing around the reserve and the person caught it. The sound on the video is the most incredible I've ever heard. You can hear how the sound travels and how it was directed at the person filming. Almost hear the infrasound. What's your cell number so I can send it to you? Much love and respect, stay safe, I always pray for you. Oh, and I also moved back to Chase, BC. I don't live in Mackenzie anymore. Oh, Jason, thanks man. I'm going to have to look up this email again once I get inside where the internet is, and I'll see what we can do. Jason is the young man, or the man, who sent us his experience of being in the Feller Buncher I think he was in. Either way, it was a piece of equipment, logging equipment, and he was near Spence's Bridge, and it was broken down. And he had to sit there and wait all night for the next crew to come, and something stepped onto his machine while he was sitting there in the pitch black. He turned his lights on in time to see that. He heard it jump off, and he turned his lights on, spun, and the thing bolted up to the timberline. Basically your worst nightmare, being by yourself, broken down in the middle of the bush in BC anyway. And then he also was the man who spoke with the loggers while they were in Mackenzie. The guy was the man who cut the big mature cedar tree down, and inside it was the skeleton of some kind of a giant. And then the British Columbia conservation officers, game wardens, and some other people showed up. They canceled that block to be logged, had to remove the equipment, and the gate was put up. Go figure. How's that for one hell of a mystery, right? And everybody that may not be familiar, here on the coast we have monster trees, and cedar trees are commonly hollowed out inside. I don't know why. You people in forestry would know why. Maybe somebody in forestry could explain to us what's up with the hollow cedar trees, the big ones. Some of these trees you can crawl inside. They are commonly used for dens for bears. All sorts of any other animal. Wolves, bears, foxes, coyotes, raccoons, whatever. Whoever likes to have a cave or a comfortable hole. Those big cedar trees are common ones. Now, how do you get a monster giant inside the trunk of a massive hollowed out cedar tree to put him to sleep? Or let him die and pass on their body, their remains? How'd they do that? Right? How did they do that? I would have loved to have seen that. Sort of. Right? Imagine if you were there and you eyewitnessed a monster cedar tree getting felled, and inside there's a bunch of weird shit, hair, bones, and you start pulling it out and realize it's not a human being, it's a frickin' giant. You would never be able to go into the forest the same ever. You would never be able to look at a big tree the same ever again, right? Picture it. It doesn't matter if you don't accept it as real or not, just play along for a second and picture this one. You get to see a massive tree dumped with some other guys, and bam, there is a monstrous sized skeleton remains inside of it, some kind of unknown giant. You would never look at a large tree standing in the timber the same ever again. Right? You'd be wondering if you're walking among the cemetery of the giants every time you went into the big forest anywhere. Anyway. Here I go, time to go. I'm going to get this done. I'm going to get my email out to Melba, get my NDA out to Melba, and if any of you still want to donate to the cause, I'm pretty sure it's still available and wide open, and it will be used for a good cause, for your knowledge. And I'll be back with more shortly. See if I can show you that deer. It's been catching my attention the whole time reading.